Hi everyone, Kendall here, and welcome to the final week of our Butterfly Garden Sew-Along, which has been hosted by me. This week, I am going to show you full construction of section B and C, and once again, I do apologise for jumping the gun and releasing not all, but some of the information while the week that I was unwell. I knew I had the video for the butterflies ready to go, but the rest of the document was not written. So throughout this video, you will see me construct both section B and C, but we won't go through the film strip border. For that, what I've done is placed a link in the top that side, left at the top corner here, which will take you to a video that I did for the Bunnies and Blooms Sew Along, which tells you how to put that film strip border together. It's basically an inner border, the actual 2.5 inch squares, and then an outer border. So it's really not that difficult, but on the download that you get today, it will show you how to make those 2.5 inch square borders and how many pieces you need for the sides and then the top and bottom. So, without much further ado, if you haven't done so already, jump over and grab this week's download, either in the Kendall's Quilting Corner Facebook group or at the Google Drive link in the description box below, which is where you'll also find a link to that Bunnies and Blooms film strip border video. Okay, come with me and I'll show you how we do it. Okay, for section B, we need all of the pieces as per the cutting directions, and then we also need our large tulips, our snowball flowers, our stop sign flowers, don't need that little bug there, and our 2 lots of bunch A, the left and the right. So for this one, it's pretty self-explanatory how it all goes together, except for that central leaf. So I'm just going to let this play through. You can pay attention to what I'm picking up and sewing together or follow the pattern, and then I'll come back and talk to you again when we get to that leaf section. As I'm still not 100%, I'd prefer not to talk the whole way through. All right, enjoy. Just like when we made the little posies of the flowers A and B, bunch A and B, we were making mirror images. So with everything we're doing here, we're doing one for the left-hand side and one for the right-hand side. So you would have noticed that I attached strip C on the left-hand side of the right-hand one and the right-hand side of the left-hand one, just to keep it easy and interesting. All right, let's keep going. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for and asking for on repeat, let's make the first set of leaves. So we're going to need pieces F and I for this, and we're just making sew and flips, very similar to the jelly roll leaves. So we need to make diamond shapes, and we need to have them going in opposite directions. So you guessed it, we start with one piece vertically and the other piece horizontally, and that automatically will give us a mirror image of our angle. Once we've used our folded corner clipper tool by lining up all of the appropriate markings, in this instance the 3.5 inches along the bottom, checking that little side part is on the edge of our square and that we have it straight up against the left hand side of our square, and we can trim away that excess and then take it to our machine and stitch our 1/4 inch. Once we've got these two sewn on, we'll place them back on the table in the way that we sewed them. So one horizontally with the sew and flip going up and to the right, the vertical one with the sew and flip going up and to the right. Then we're going to rotate each piece 180 degrees and put a sew and flip on the other end, and that will give us our diamond shapes that we need for this set of leaves, all the while pressing out towards our sew and flip. Pay attention when you come to this part to make sure that you've got the posy facing in the right direction. In the scheme of things, it won't really matter, but the quilt has been designed that they all point down into the center like an arrow, and you'll see that the angle of the posies matches the angle of our leaf for the left hand side, and when we come to do the right hand side, the angle of the leaf will also match the angle of the posy for the right hand side. So just pay attention to your pattern and follow along with the correct placements. When we come to add this one, just make sure that the tulip is sitting underneath your posy and you'll have the right placement for both sides. Voila! We now have section B complete. Let's move on to section C, including the last 2 lot of leaves. 1 lot we have made before for our posies. Let's go. Once again, we have all of the pieces cut out as per our instructions, and my light green squares down here that I'm pointing to now are the same as M, so that's your M1 and M2, but I only have 1 letter M tile, so I just have them separately here on the table in front of us. Everything else is as per the pattern, and we just have our remaining small tulip and our bunch B posies in our mirror image with our little bits of sashing already attached. We're going to start by making the leaves that use the M and the B fabrics, and they are simple to start with. We're just going to use our light green and our dark green, or our M1 and M2, and we're going to make half square triangles. So to make the half square triangles on the back of our lighter fabric, we will draw a diagonal line from corner to corner in one direction only. We'll put that right sides together with our dark green fabric, or our M2, M1, whichever it is. It sounds like we're on a freeway here in Australia. No, but that would be the M4. Anyway, let's continue. Yes, draw the diagonal line corner to corner, take it to the machine, stitch 1/4 of an inch on each side of our drawn line. Now that we've stitched on each side of our drawn line, I just like to give these a quick press first to settle those stitches in before slicing them in half on that drawn line. Once we've cut these in half on our drawn line, we will press to the darker of the 2 fabrics. With our half square triangles now pressed, we do need to trim these down to the final size, and to do that I like to do 2 at a time because I like a quick result. So we make sure that our 2 half square triangles are nice and nested on that seam. Then we're going to bring in a ruler that has a diagonal line on it, a 45-degree line. We line up that 45-degree line on our stitching line, making sure that we have enough fabric outside our required trim down measurement of 4.5 inches in this case on all 4 sides. So that's the 2 that are sticking out from the ruler and the 2 that are under the ruler. We then trim away those first 2 sides. We rotate this around, being careful not to separate our 2 pieces. Now we can line up our 4.5 inches on those freshly cut sides, ensuring that our 45-degree line is still going right along our stitching line before trimming off those final 2 sides. Trim both of these down, and then we get to put a sew and flip on each side. How exciting! How nice was it to talk about half square triangles for a change rather than continual sew and flips? I hope you enjoyed that one little bit of variety. Anyway, we now need to bring in our B squares, and we need to place a sew and flip on the opposite corners of this unit, and they're the corners that go opposite the seam line along the middle. And we just place those sew and flips as we do every time. You can draw the line, you can trim them off first, you can do whatever you like. Just place a sew and flip on either side of these half square triangle units, making sure that they're on the corners that are opposite that seam line, as you could see me doing there. Put one on each side, and in both instances we can press out towards that sew and flip. With those two sections sewn together, I was just checking that we do indeed have a mirror image, and now just place them as per the pattern to get them on the right sides. There we are. This is how they should look. And now we need to bring in our H rectangles, and we'll sew one of those onto the bottom of each of these units. We'll press towards the sashing as we have done the whole way through this construction. We now just need to make our remaining leaf units, and for that we need our L squares and our A squares, and just like the half square triangle leaves that we made before, we're going to put a sew and flip on two of the opposite corners on each of these, creating a signature block type effect. As we're going through this part, you can see that I am drawing the line rather than using my folded corner clipper tools. Sometimes I like to mix it up, and also for the purpose of the videos, just showing you all the different ways. So when you draw the diagonal line, you draw it in one direction only. We line everything up the same as if we were using our folded corner clipper, but when we take this to the machine, we need to stitch just to the right of that line. A lot of patterns and videos and everything tell you to stitch directly on the line, but that doesn't allow for the take up of the cloth or the turn of cloth once you actually fold this back over, and this tiny amount of fabric that those stitches take up means that you're left with a piece that is no longer square. So I stitch just to the right of that drawn line, and then when I fold this back over, I have got all of my edges perfectly lined up. And then we can trim away the excess and press it into place. So put a sew and flip on the opposite sides of both of these L squares, and we will have the last lot of leaves that we need for this pattern. You will notice that this is very similar or exactly the same as we made the leaves for our bunch / posy units in one of the earlier weeks. Anyway, so you can see here now that I've stitched just to the right of my drawn line. When I fold this back over, all of my edges line up so that I know I still have a piece that is square. I can now trim away those back two layers, press it into place, and continue putting the rest of my sew and flips on and getting these leaf units all made. We now just return to following the layout as per the instructions that you would have downloaded from my Google Drive in the link in the description box below, or grab the file from the post that I'll have made now in Kendall's Quilting Corner over at Facebook. Just pay attention to the layout, the fact that we're still doing mirror images, and follow along to sew those sections together. I jump around on the video a bit here, but just pay attention to the layout and the diagram and the fact that all of our leaves should point down towards the bottom like an arrow. And we're just attaching all of the eye strips to each of the individual bits so that we can do the final block construction. Just really pay attention back to the pattern in each occasion for all of these steps, but enjoy watching how my brain put it together. Alrighty, thank you. Give all of our seam lines now a press into their final place, and section C is complete, so we'll just attach this to section B and then attach section B to section A. Alrighty folks, that's it. This was a nice easy video. I hope you enjoyed just chilling and listening to the music and vibing out. And as you can see, the leaf construction really isn't that difficult, and it's techniques we've all done before. But I will say again, how refreshing was it to talk about half square triangles? They still needed to have a sew and flip, but it was just nice to talk about something different. If you haven't done so already, I'd love if you'd like the video, share it with a friend, subscribe if you haven't already done so, but most importantly, make sure that you've got that little bell icon ticked so that you'll be notified of all my upcoming releases. It's been really fun bringing you this sew along, and I'll see you all again real soon. Bye for now.